Hello, everyone. Every week, we bring mavericks, thought leaders, futurists on our show. Today, I have invited a very interesting and an innovative person. His name is Neeraj Chaudhary. Neeraj is IIT Delhi alum. He has done a lot of phenomenal things in life, but most interesting thing he has done is climbing Mount Everest. Now, not going to the base camp only, he climbed. He went up the summit, which is close to 29,000 feet, which is pretty high if you don't know. Last week, I attempted 13,000 feet and I had altitude sickness, so double of that. So let's talk to him and really understand what is the reason he picked Mount Everest. Neeraj, welcome to our show.
So thank you so much for inviting me.
So Neeraj, you have pursued masters from IIT.
I did my master's from IIT Delhi in environmental engineering and management in the year 2009 to 11.
Very cool. And what was your hostel?
Sir, I was in Shivalik hostel.
Great, go Shivalik. That was my hostel too. Awesome. So, Neeraj.
Yes, sir.
You summited Mount Everest just few months ago.
Right, sir.
Why?
Sir, there are a lot of reasons. First thing, the trainings in the self-defense and for endurance exercises, which have been given by the elite commandos of our para forces, the Indian Special Forces commandos. So somewhere in our mind, it was there that someday we have to do something different. So what was that different? I was not sure about it, but yes, it was something it is in Everest right now. So first reason was that one, and secondly, all the times it was there in my mind that in life, apart with your regular jobs and scheduled work, you are supposed to be active in your passion, and you are supposed to follow it and live it with your full enthusiasm. So this is how Everest was targeted in the long list of several there are several passions. So Everest is one of them.
Close to 70 years ago, we had two people who submitted or who was able to achieve this impossible task. 29,000 feet is a pretty substantial, especially even with the very high altitude as well as the oxygen problems.
Right, sir.
Every year, close to 800 people attempt hiking Mount Everest. You are one of those. How many people typically able to finish?
Sir, nowadays, in the recent years, if I talk, commercialization has been it has been increased. If I talk about this year, 2021, around 400 permits, nearly 400 permits were there for Everest for the clients, and equal to them, there were Sherpas. So nearly 800 people were supposed to be there. But what happened this year? There were two cyclones. We did not get a perfect window this year. So the ratio, the percentage, if I talk, it is nearly 50%, or I think it is lesser than that, because a big expedition of the Central Armed Police Forces, CAPF of our Indian government, it has to abandon its effort just because of that harsh climate and the worst scenario, which is not to be supposed to be there this year. So this was the scenario. So it is not all the time that the people, those who have been given permissions to climb Everest, they are successful to do that. And secondly, what happens just because of commercialization, amateur mountaineers, like those who haven't perfect gradation in mountaineering experiences, so they are also attempting just because of it's like the glory is also attached with that name Everest. Partly, if you talk about mountaineers, perfect mountaineers, those who have done their specialization, technical trainings they have, the experiences they have, the number will be certainly low. So this is the scenario.
You took one of the toughest challenge any mountaineer takes in their life.
Right, sir.
You are an engineer by profession. You are not an athlete. You are not going for Olympic gold medal, and you don't really get anything in reality except the pride that you have accomplished that. So I'm assuming that there was something in your past which makes you achieve this impossible goal.
I did my graduation from Jodhpur, MBM Engineering College, Jodhpur. So I just got my admission in 2004, and in 2005, somehow I met Captain Jabbar Singh Bhati Sahab. He's a retired para SF commando and medal honored with Sena medal. So I met him, and then I came to know the realities. Like I used to go to gym, but when I met him, then I got to know that I'm not having that internal strength. So finally, there were a lot of people were there, those who have done really too good in their life in the service of the nation. And there were several people, like if I name right now, he's Brigadier Saurabh Singh Shekhawat Saab. He was major then in 2005. So in 2005, he submitted Everest third time. In 2001,
Wow.
he submitted first time, then in 2003, and then in 2005. So we were students then. So these stories were somewhere in our mind that the people who are surrounding us, they have done something commendable, and we really respect them the way they go.
So isn't it, Neeraj? Can we say that the people you surround yourself with creates that dream or that impossibility become possible just because you are in the proximity of the people who have accomplished impossible? Because climbing Mount Everest is still impossible for 99.999% people on the planet.
It certainly it imparts several things. Like the people, those who have done something impossible, they just give you that strength, inner strength, like the mental strength, the inner strength. Not specifically the goal they did, but for anything, like your confidence on some other level. So you practice those ways. I did not target it Everest at that time in 2005, but simply just
But
was
you knew people who have done it. You understand that it is a possible just because you are in the proximity of these people. You are not prepared, but it was achievable goal for you just because you are in that surrounding. Can I say that?
right, sir, right, sir. And they used to guide us, like to do this thing and that thing. Not specifically like in civilian side. What happens, like we have much show and lesser in content. And they people were like they have a lot of efforts, and I've seen them working. So the amount of hard work they do in their profession, as well as out of that area. So once they people just are the supporters, or they are their your guides. So what else you need on this planet? So it was sufficient.
It's Neeraj, it's so fascinating. I spent almost 2 decades in Silicon Valley, where we make impossible possible every single day. 3.4 million people in Silicon Valley contributes to pretty much economy is bigger than the several countries. And
Right, sir.
how we do that? It's just the proximity, I find. And there is a common phrase people use is your network is your net worth. And this is the
Right.
message for our audience. Whatever you want to accomplish, whatever, it does not matter. You wanted to climb Mount Everest, or you wanted to build a new company, or you want to beat the any other big company, whatever, and even in your job, whatever you want to do, if you surround yourself with the people who have done it and work with them and see how they do it, you can do anything, even if it is impossible.
Right, sir.
Neeraj, when you felt you realized that you should climb Mount Everest, I believe
Right.
two things you started looking into. One is
Right.
how you are going to do it,
Right.
and second is preparing for that. Because a lot of people talk about how, They know how, but they are not ready for the preparation required for that. And preparation is not like 1 month, 2 months, 6 months. I talk to some other mountaineer friends of mine, they prepare for years.
Actually, I was preparing for in self-defense, the practices you do with the para forces, that is altogether different from civilian side. So first thing was that so physical fitness was already there, but specifically for the higher mountains, one is supposed to be trained. So basically, I started by the end of 2014 December, and the first mountain I scaled that I did solo in 2015, and then gradually I just moved on. That it is not about Everest, just simply Everest was not the target. It is about to learn the technicality for
Yes.
the mountain. So I
So
did my
you prepare very
yes,
well. You prepare for almost a decade to get
and
to the Mount
I did
Everest.
my I did my basic course from Nehru Institute of Mountaineering and graded A. So I was just qualified for advanced course. So I did my advanced course in 2017. Then search and rescue course in 2018. So gradually it happened. And in 2019, we have some program from the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports through Indian Mountaineering Foundation that they are planning for Everest massive expedition in 2020. So this was actually scheduled for 2020, and initially 565 open applications were there with IMF. They selected 120 people. Training camp selection camps were there. Finally, 55 odd people were there. So out of those, finally 14 people were there in that team, and
Wow.
just because of Corona, it got postponed again in 2020, and finally it happened in 2021. So this is a long process, and uh, I'm very frank in telling that I enjoyed my practice because it was all the times it is getting shifted. So every time I had that, I have to keep my patience to the higher level. Otherwise, once I lose it, I won't be able to do that. So this was the scenario.
So, Neeraj, it was an impossible treat. It was an impossible goal. You achieved it. For a lot of people, when they look at you, look at other people around them, they think it's overnight success. But it
Sir,
takes decades in making.
I'm no,
And
I'm never in favor of that overnight sort of thing because actually you are putting your life somewhere in a riskier part. Like mountains are not they don't just welcome you. They will teach everything that is required in life. So they may go to at any extreme. It is about for any natural extreme. When they at their own, they will test you like anything. So, first thing, are you prepared for that? Actually, prepared for that. It must be from your heart, not from your mind all the time. Say, okay, yes, it is okay. So, sometimes when people say nowadays Everest is easy, so I tell them that if I tell you about my training sessions, so the only running part. So, on an average, it was around 17 kilometers per day. So, there were a
wow,
lot of half marathons included. But for 2021, when I started using Strava, so I just measured it. So finally in March, I just checked it to send it to sir. That sir, somehow it is like around nearly 17 kilometers a day, and he
wow.
was very happy with that. So it was just running part. So there are several other things. Strengthening exercises are there. A lot of endurance, different exercises are there. Yoga, pranayama, etc. Is there. So one is to be trained anything. You must not leave any scope of not getting trained.
So, Neeraj, for our audience sake, I will share with them my own experience. I'm not into mountaineering, but I hike. And recently I did a 29-mile hike. I prepared for 6 months. The elevation gain with all ups and downs was roughly around 9,500 feet. And we did it almost in 17 or 18 hours. And I haven't done anything that difficult in my life,
Right.
physically possible. It took me 6 months to prepare for that. And a month later, I decided to do another one, which is 13,365 feet high elevation, basically. It was an easier hike technically because just a 4 or 5 mile one way. Last 1,000 feet took me almost 1.5 hours. It was just half a mile distance because altitude, for everyone's reference, just kills you. A majority of us don't realize as we go higher, it's our breathing becomes so important, and most of us makes mistakes, and we don't understand how to breathe, how to prepare ourselves for the breathing. It become an impossible task. On the same note, what I want to share with all our audience, Neeraj, is whatever you want to do, you have to prepare. You have to have a discipline. Discipline and preparations are very important. Look at Neeraj. He was running 17 kilometers a day, which is almost 10 and a half miles a day. How many of you will say that you do that every week? Let's start with every month, I guess. All of us don't want to be hiking or climbing Mount Everest. We don't want to be mountaineer, but we want to climb mountains in our own ways, in our own industry, in our own area, whatever we want to do, whatever we want to accomplish. Process is very simple. You decide, you prepare, and you have discipline, because you will never be ready if you don't have a discipline. If you are not running 17 kilometers a day, you cannot be Neeraj. Neeraj,
Yes,
you
sir.
have inspired, I promise, so many people. A guy who grew up in a small town, did engineering, then he did masters, amazing work academically. It's not like you do full time this, and you were able to summit. You were able to get to the top of Mount Everest. That's really unbelievable. I was checking some stat from 1953 to 2004. Less than 2,000 people attempted Mount Everest. Is that correct?
Nearly, right.
So it is fascinating that for almost close to 50 years, we have total 2,000 people attempting. And after that, we have 800 people attempting every year. It's fascinating. I understand technology, I understand everything, but in reality, it is mindset. Once you see it is possible, then impossible become possible.
Nowadays, if a lot of people are scaling Everest, it does not mean the height is to be on
Gone
the low.
down.
It has come down, or the weather is like very cozy. So once somebody said, ki, "Oh, it is easy," it is not easy. It is all the way same efforts. A lot of people are making efforts because the craze is there, and with craze, people are making their efforts. So it is all the way that way.
The fourth thing you talk about today, Neeraj, is mentor,
Right.
coaches, right people who have done it or who understand what it takes to do it can change the results. You were able to accomplish an impossible goal because you found great mentors.
Sir, I'll tell you one more interesting thing. I just spoke about Brigadier Saurabh Sahab, who did Everest thrice. In 2005, he did the third time. So when he did it first time, the leader of that expedition, it was first successful army expedition. The leader was Colonel Krishna Kumar. So finally, he got retired, and you will be surprised to know, sir, in 2021, he retired from brigadier, and he was my leader also. And the person who was a leader for the first successful army expedition in 2001, the person whom I used to see as my mentor and everything, Saurabh Sahab. And finally, the leader of that expedition is fortunately my leader also. So, what is all that? Some things are designed. and you are in great hands. So just believe in your hard work, and just come up to just those level of expectations of your mentors, and always be humble and respectful to their ideas, and never in our life, which I believe in my life, I'm totally whatever I am today. I'm just because of my mentors. They may be my coaches, my family is there, my support staff, the office staff is there, my seniors are there, juniors are there, batchmates are there. I'm a product of all these feelings. I am simply as that.
No, I really love your attitude, Neeraj. I'm so impressed. I can't tell you. And great message for our audience. Uh, I've learned five things. Number one, which Neeraj didn't talk about, is being humble. If you're not humble, you can't get anywhere. Number two, he talks about is if you dream big, surround yourself with the right people. Because if you have people around you, they can make impossible possible. Number three, he talks about preparation. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Number four, without discipline, nothing works. And number five is finding the right mentor. I can't thank you for your time, Neeraj, and the message you have given to all of our audience. I wish you great luck. I'm sure you have many more mountains to climb. I don't know where else you want to go from here because you have already scaled the tallest mountain on this planet, maybe on Mars or maybe some other planet. But thank you very, very much for your time. You are a phenomenal person, and I'm so glad you made our audience part of your journey. Thank you.